This is Hunting Fields by Dr. Peter Colla, Chapter 6, narrated by the Hooded Vigilante. Before I get started with Chapter 6, I just wanted to say, as you probably all have kind of become aware of, this book is written and it speaks through the eyes of the people who actually lived through these experiences. I'm one of them. So, without further ado, Chapter 6, I Thought I Was Born. Dreams, waking moments, or physical experiences, the only real ones are the memories we can actually remember. For those who dwell in the spirit, space is irrelevant. It is in this realm that we get glimpses of other dimensions, unburdened by the natural laws of the physical. These heavenly places have no limitations of space and only the slightest limitations of time. A life of cold, darkness, and jail, some would say, is no life. But when this is all the life you have, then every gift from God, even a drink of water, every small piece of food, every puddle on the ground, especially every soft word in the dark, becomes your treasures. Over time, she has learned this world she lives in is but a place hidden from the world of her dreams. Somehow she just knows there is a place away from this cold cage, a place full of light, a place where the love that is entangled in the light shines in the source. In this light shines freely. Her mother is there holding her, smiling, and always a man, her father, the same man. His eyes sparkle, and he talks to her. The dreams she remembers are clearer than her waking nights. They are more real than the bars in front of her face or the shadows of the day. These are real memories repeat, and she has them all the time. It is a place she never wants to leave, but seems to know when it's time to go back. One more look before she goes back from this wonderful place of grassy fields and colorful flowers, trees with birds flying everywhere. Where the other children she glances at passing by are free in play. She dreams of this place every time she closes her eyes and drifts off to sleep. She knows now the moment she opens them, the light will go and the dark will appear again. She breathes again and the bars form, as this has become her regular routine, watching the dampness form a picture of light erupting on the cage in front of her eyes. The light reflects on the droplets with waves of rainbow colors, themselves having become her world in the quiet, but only when it is still. She sees the same vibrations in the small puddle water as the bars also collect moving light waves across the surfaces. Her hums of different sounds make their own waves even to the floor far below the tunnel, especially when she makes one particular sound. It vibrates the water on the walls all the way down the tunnel before it turns again into darkness. Her voice causes even the cage to vibrate so hard it shakes, especially when she hums that particular sound. This has become a game to her, but she can only play when the demons have left, and she hears those final click, click, tack sounds far off and through the air vent up above, where she feels the smell blow out or soft sounds echoing through. Perhaps she has always felt like she can float out of this place, especially when she hums. Oh, how she wishes she could just float away to that world of light, love, and joy. The puddle and the droplets, each one having its own specific sounds, produces waves that dance to the sounds made. The further away, the lower the sounds, especially in the puddle, and on the cage they all ripple with lights. From the echoing screams of the children, even more with the harsh cries of the demons who torment them. These are low sounds, and their laughter even more. Harsh waves of dark light dance across the waters like spirits, not unlike those that dwell in the darkness, especially around the doctor and the witches that come in. But when it is still like it is now, she is so happy, for this place is her life. And deep down, she knows life is good. It's only made worse when being used by demons that come in. It is then this place becomes horrifying. The darkness is often complete, but then the light seems to just show up, sometimes red and blue. Lights flash as sirens sound. But when this happens, it usually is followed by cruelty, screams, or pain. Occasionally, reflections appear on the surface of the puddles. She doesn't like looking at these. Often, demon faces appear, seeming to spring out of the holes that form on the ground. Yet the images that appear on the surface of the puddle are eliminated by the waves of light, and the faces within them seem to turn and run as the ripples flow throughout the cold tunnel. Dark ripples are usually coupled with screams and cries of agony from those who are taken from their cages. These sounds are chased by the dark spirits like the cats of a dream chase mice or bugs. These dark spirits seem to slither through the deep darkness they suddenly find themselves lying in. In one of the side halls that does get at least a little light when doors are opened or food is brought, for the rest is only darkness. When it is quiet, there is a relief, but only when all the children are back in their cages and the demons have left does a sort of peace ascend on this place. She can sometimes even feel angels, especially when her eyes are closed. She sees them fly by, light blue, white, and good. Oftentimes she can see the bearded man from her dreams standing smiling at her. She talks to him about the world outside full of children, animals, light, and colored flowers, angels flying or sitting with her playing with her doll. Her favorite part of the day is usually after she wakes from her dreams. While it's still quiet, she often can hear chirping bird sounds with different high tweets bounce through the vents. They too send beautiful vibrations through the waters of her puddles. These angelic voices fill her heart with gladness, and it is then can usually take deep breaths and almost smell the world outside, as she just knows these angels are flying everywhere in light. The boy next to her, Angelo, whispers to her when it's quiet and the handlers have left. He tells her of the world outside as well and hold her. The bearded man who visits her is Jesus, he told her. He's the same man who sent him to her. Not long and we will be free, Angela always says. We have important things to learn first. Every challenge teaches us something we will need to, so we later can help someone else. She hears the tweeting sounds through the air vent like it is right to her. Angela said the tweet sounds are called birds, but in reality they are angels, just like she said. And they fly through the bright blue skies everywhere, smiling to God. The bearded man, as he paints every day again new, and we get to discover it. She has seen in her dreams the face of an angel she knows is her mother, and sometimes she can even hear her voice, especially just as she starts to wake. And it is then the angels sing around them and make the same tweeting bird sounds she loves to listen to, like now. She closed her eyes, dancing high in the skies. Many birds soar by, lifting her young head as she flies. The sweet sounds of their distant calls vibrate softly through darkened halls. as spirits soar through heavenly clouds, their softness sails by. With angels' tender kisses, the Father caresses, sitting above. Smiling love from sweet mother, wings they do flutter, also with love. Her playful music feeds the child's heart within, as the precious teardrops fall from tender skin. The sweet Father gathers them gently, holding his dove high above. Angelo breathes heavily in his cage. She looks at him in the dark, sleeping softly next to her, almost like he's going to start talking. She remembers when her new friend first came. Only a few weeks had passed. It was like a day like today. It feels like it was already a lifetime ago. She thinks back to that day. Clucklink, tough. Startled, she knows that sounds. Someone has opened the furthest door, far above, off into her world. She can hear the sounds of the steps descending in rhythm. They are coming. This almost scares her because the sounds of the angels tweeting is usually long before any noises of the handler's arrival are heard. Heavy footsteps tells her it's not the doctor. It's not Dr. Demon or the shuffle of the hunchback, but one of the handlers moving through the tunnels, coming closer as his steps come right up to the door behind hers. With only the moment's pause, the door unlatched with a loud clack, and her world is suddenly blazing with light from the corridor outside beyond. She cannot see there directly, but the streaks of light illuminate the adjacent corridor leading into her place. Usually when they're bringing children, crying is almost always coming to. This time, no sound. An extremely large man wearing the same dark black hooded cloak all the guards wear steps up to the cage next to her and unlatches the door, quickly setting a child in a sack down. Pulling off the sack, he lifts the child to the cage and deposits him as he starts to close the door behind. The boy crawls in without a sound. He is larger than most of the young children that come here. He just lays there as the man slowly closes the cage, much softer than any of the rest. She has never seen this large man before, and his face looks somehow familiar. Maybe he has appeared in her dreams. There's something different about him. Even though he stares ahead without looking at her, he turns towards her cage, looking above for a moment, as his shadow face seems to shake. Petra, the man says in a rough, strong voice. She knows this is her name. They have said it on more than one occasion, especially when they scream at her. And even the sound of her name suddenly feels different when this man says it. Instead of laced with hate or anger, it's something else, something she has never felt in this place. Mercy. She can't quite clearly see his face because of the light from the corridor behind. As her eyes adjust as well, she starts to see his. They have an unusual sparkle she's never seen. He's standing there staring at the metal square above her cage, his lips pierced as his head shakes with his frozen stare. Suddenly he turns back to the boy and starts writing on the plate above a few words they all do when the children arrive. With a deep breath and a long pause, he looks at the boy in the cage. Goodbye, Angelo, he says in a deep yet soft voice. She's heard that voice before, but just can't quite remember. The small girl moves from the back of the corner of the cage to the door and looks out at the man and then at the boy lying next to her. He too is now looking at her. Bob, the boy says as he looks up at the large man again. Thank you. The large man, his eyes betraying the slightest tear, the goodness that is locked inside the stare. The man turns with only a few quick steps and he's through the door, and with a loud clack, he closes the doors. His footsteps descend down the corridor and out the door just as fast. There's a returning anger in his receding steps. They don't bring children into where she is, but once or twice every week, and usually walk right past into the tunnel. She often hears other children's voices, but they are far off in the echoes of the air vent, and usually only for a while, and then they're gone again. Sometimes she hears women's voices, but hardly ever lately. She has heard the handlers call this place a transfer station, and the Dr. Demon screaming about wanting more for his experiments, but the men in robes always say no. Maybe Bob is a handler, but she's never seen him before that she can remember. When Angela first arrived, he didn't say a word to her. With only the briefest smile, he rolled back on his side as his breathing slowed into a rhythm that she knew he now was probably sleeping. But it wasn't long before he started talking to her, always only a whisper and never talking at all when the demons appeared. She listened to his gentle breathing and thought to herself, sitting there, what was the earliest memory she had of her own life? Could she remember when she came here? Her breathing matched his as she listened again far off into the world and thought she could almost hear voices of the children playing, soft music far off in the distance, and the sweet sound of a mother's voice just past the edges of her memory. Her eyes slowly close and she falls off into her own sleep. The orange and gold glow moves around me like the angels that flap their wings as they pass my view, sweeping close once in and a while depositing kisses against my face. I am me, yet I don't know what that is, except I do know love flows from the outside of me inward as I get bathed in the light that is all around me. Music is playing softly, yet steadily to the drumbeat of a loving heart. I hear her singing. My mother's sweet voice hums with that music that fills the air. It vibrates all around me and touches me. She is happy. A sudden movement, an increase in heartbeat, but then it settles back into the rhythm of the music playing softly. It's warm and safe as the fading memories of heaven's fields of flowers blowing in the cool winds and musical smells that are so sweet as they flow by. A jolt and the music stops as the world stops moving. I feel like I'm being carried by the winds up and down, the fields of light fading from my memories. Never felt like this. The heartbeat increases as the sound of the child hears her mother talking, and the sweet yet muffled voice has a hint of desperation. She's softly waiting, her heart slowing again for another voice. A deep, soothing voice responds. I just know that's my father's voice. A rush of love encircles me as I hear the two voices. They are not all that different from the voices I can still remember in the fields. The angels with their golden hair, and the Father, his strong yet gentle voice fills my whole being with bliss. More movement and back to the music. This time the child hears another voice, not all that different from her own, speaking as she says some soothing words and caresses the baby's back with her hand. I push my foot, wanting to touch her. In return, the child responds with waves of laughter, touching, almost playing with my foot. Every sound produces its own colors, cascading into the baby's whole new body. I feel the colors, the sounds. I can taste them. My whole body can hear them. Even the emotions within them, in every part of me, they flow through me like the life breeze through a flowery glade. Except this field, I can feel everything all at once. It's beautiful. I'm alive. The sounds and the music, every muffled word the child hears pulls on her memories like a kaleidoscope of colors from her dreams. Standing looking out across a sea of people as her father asked, "What flower would you like to be?" For a moment, she's back on the mountain looking across the infinite valley of flowers and trees. Her mother moves again, and suddenly the music stops, but the voice, like her own, is excited as she fades away, greeted by other voices, each producing their own blasts of wonderful colors before her as they speak. Angels are dancing through the voices like birds singing in the distant trees. These feelings rush through my body, which I know is life because the Father said that I could experience life if I desired. I had no idea the fullness and infinite bliss I could feel so many places on my body at once, explosions of love and color, tastes and smells all over my body, inside and out. The music is playing again. I feel a constricting around me. Her heart is pounding now harder again as my mother caresses my back, and I feel the words she's saying. How you even? All this is good. Another blast of warm golden light fills my every being as it radiates through me like waves of pure light. The mother's words, the children just seem to know, as she has spoken to her almost every day of this existence of love for as long as she can remember. But it is only recently that the colors have appeared. More swaying, and the heartbeat suddenly begins to race. A horrible, loud, screeching sound of darkness appears out of the soft, golden orange light, like a face of a great demon of my furthest memories. Black teeth open and red eyes set on hateful destruction, falling on me, covering my whole self at once. The horrible demons screech and roar are almost drowned out by her deafening scream and the immediate blast and crunch. The force hits my side, pressing me to the point of pain and life being thrown out of this young body. If it wasn't for the golden and blue lighted angel, this one suddenly appearing strong, holding a shield against the raw force of the charging black shadow. The pain I feel throughout my body is not only that of my own, but the pain of my mother is feeling every place on her body. I feel it on mine. Stars appear in my eyes. The angel says, I will lock this pain-filled memory away. For now, sleep. Peter is back with the father standing again on the hillside, looking across the endless valley of flowers. Many she can see at the same time, as if she is close by yet far away as well. Would you choose such a life? It will be hard and much pain, but with great challenges comes great and glorious victories. The father says without speaking, she can hear, smell, and taste in her mind, but also all around her as well. I already love those flowers, she says, as she points to two standing among the rocks and weeds. The road seems to pass right there. One you will know a while, yet she will never leave you throughout eternity. The other is why you must live, to add your strength to his and give him the added strength he will need to fight on. Petra hears the father say without hearing a word, and she suddenly is standing on the road looking at the flowers. Yes, They have chosen the same. You are all from the same small part of the body, but crucial in your own addition to the painting, for every single pigment has its place for the masterpiece I have created for the living, and you are such an important part, a highlight. That is chapter 6. This is the Hooded Vigilante. Until tomorrow.